Friday morning 2-minute drill. Jim Monaghan and Chris Swendeman as usual. And we're finally here, the first Friday, Chris, after the trade deadline. Lots of moves made by a lot of teams. Let's go with the Mets first on a scale of 1 to 5. How do you rate the Mets deadline deals?
I give them a three, Jim. They didn't do anything sexy. They didn't grab the back page with any of their moves, but they were good. They got Jesse Winker from Washington. They got Paul Blackburn to shore up the back end of the starting rotation. They clearly went heavy on relievers, which they needed, and we had said that leading up to the deadline. But there's nothing that went ooh, or the oohs and ahs weren't there. They weren't the Dodgers. They weren't the headline grabbers, but they did enough to give themselves depth.
I'll give them a 3.5. I think I agree with you. They made the moves that they needed to make. And not only that, they didn't give up a lot of top name prospects. So they didn't hurt themselves in the long run. And they may have done enough to get them into the wild card and out of that first round there.
They definitely did. I think they shored themselves up enough that they'll compete for the wild card. They're in it right now, and I think they'll continue to maintain that where they are right now. They're clearly in the race, and they're clearly up to the competition. With the Braves and teams like the Nationals and everybody else who's in the race around them.
Meanwhile, the Yankees, they didn't do what the fans wanted. They wanted that big splash like you were talking about with the Mets. But I think the acquisition of Jazz Chisholm Jr. saved Brian Cashman's job, because what this guy has done, he's come in, he has immediately changed the lineup. They are more athletic. They're faster. He's got, what, 4 home runs? And I know he's not going to hit like this the entire rest of the way. I get it. But what he's done in a short amount of time has been amazing. I think he saved Cashman's job for the time being.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you it's smoke and mirrors. It's Cashman doing enough to put a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. He's doing great, and he's exceeded every fan's expectation. But where was the bullpen help? Tanner Scott was out there from the Marlins. Big names that went to the Padres, the Dodgers, the Orioles, all jumped in on bullpen names. Where were the Yankees with that? I think what they're doing is they're making themselves, they're bolstering the offense enough to help Judge and Soto. But what they're really doing is gearing up for the offseason and getting ready to see, what they're going to have a big bill to pay if Soto re-signs. And if not, guess what? The guy across the way in Queens is back swimming right now, doing the backstroke in his gold coins like Scrooge McDuck, waiting to unload to pay Juan Soto. So I think that's in the back of their mind. And I think that was part of why they didn't go heavy on a lot of other players.
Yankees have a big weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays, who have been rather disappointing. Gee, there's a shock. And the Mets are on the West Coast against the Angels. And we just got word that Mike Trout is out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big loss for baseball. And you feel so bad for the guy because he should be an ambassador right up there with Shohei. And he just never got the recognition I think he deserved because of where he played. We've talked about that on and off the air, but it's a huge loss for MLB.
And that's the 2-minute drill for another Friday morning here at 105.5 WDHA. Thanks, Chris.
You got to have a great weekend, Jim. I'll talk to you next week.